Wings up, everyone. Wings up. Happy Wednesday. Wings
Wings
up.
up.
Wings up,
Wings
wings up.
up. Wings up.
Wings up, guys. You guys can see I'm probably in a different location. I've got some work going on in my office, so I'm in a different location in my house right now. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Good.
Fantastic.
Good.
Amazing.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is our Wednesday night training. I'm so glad that all of you all are on this training. Hopefully that by the end of this training, we'll be a little bit more comfortable with presenting this wellness program. Listen, I just want to reiterate to you all, as we stated before, previously, that you guys have an opportunity to really start kicking off some real success. I was in a meeting today and just looking at some of the other numbers of other companies and how they're turning in deals like crazy daily, and getting these deals closed. Okay. And they've got their mojo, they've got their rhythm. This is what we're trying to build. So I want to encourage you all to continue to keep building, but the only way that's going to happen is stepping outside of your comfort zone. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, making those calls, stepping outside of your comfort zone, and actually um you know getting in touch with your warm market. Okay, getting in touch with your warm market and just stepping outside of your comfort zone to really introduce this program to as many people as as you can. Okay, so it's a no-brainer. This thing is hot right now. A lot of people are looking at it. So I would not waste too much time, not promoting it, because in the next couple of years it's going to be mainstream with a lot of mainstream companies, and then you're going to be, booted out. Look at this like, you're catching Bitcoin when it first started, okay? And you're right at the cuffs of of an explosion on it, and you're just right there at it. I mean, right there in it. So, this is why we keep doing the trainings on things that's going to help you to close deals. So, one of the things that I do is I sit back and I listen to a lot of the calls that's made, and I analyze, what is it that's causing these calls not to matriculate. Okay, and when I listen to some of these calls, a lot of it is rapport building, it's pre-framing, a lot of things that we talk about all the time. It's even the consultative approach versus the transactional approach. And this is why, we continue to keep drilling in you that, consultative selling is the key. That's the key that you want to you want to focus in on. You want to focus in on consultative selling. Okay. And stray away. I'm sorry, stray away from, this transactional thinking. That transactional thinking, let me get in and get this customer and, make my commissions, and you really focus on those type of things. Those are the things that's going to keep you out of deals, because customers can sense these things. They can sense when you guys are just really there to either be there to help them or to solve a problem, or whether you're there just to be transactional in your approach. So today's topic is the trust factor, mastering consultative sales. Okay, this is about building rapport and asking powerful questions and positioning yourself as a trusted advisor. And as we stated before, that consultative selling works across the board with any product. It doesn't matter what you're selling, whether you're selling, workplace wellness, I'm sorry, it's wellness plus, or whether you are selling homes, or vehicles, whatever you're selling, consultative selling is key. You want to always make sure that you're consulting your client. Consultative selling is a sales approach that prioritizes building trust. It prioritizes uncovering the client's needs and offering it offers tailored solutions rather than you being pushing a particular product and a service on them. So instead of focusing only on what you're selling, the emphasis is on understanding the customer's problems, understanding the customer's goals, and understanding what drives the decision makers. Okay? So understanding the customer's problems and understanding the customer's goals and understanding what actually drives their thinking, what drives the decision-making process. And then as a consultative seller, you then gather that information and then you guide them. You guide them toward the best solution, which will include the product or service that you're offering. It's that simple. That's how you close deals. Okay? And that's what we're going to discuss. So at its core, consultative selling is about acting less like a salesperson and more like a trusted advisor or a consultant. Helping clients to identify their hidden needs. You're helping clients to see opportunities, and you're helping your clients to feel confident in their purchasing decision, no matter what that decision is. Consultative selling. This is the approach that you want to use so you can prioritize your customers' needs first. In order for you to get good at this approach, you have to be good at listening and prioritizing. You have to be a good listener. Okay? Why do you need to be a good listener? Because you have to understand the customer's needs. You have to understand their problems. And once you get good at asking open-ended questions, then you'll get the answers that you need as it relates to understanding their problems. So there's a rhythm, there's a flow there, right? So when you're talking and you're speaking with your customers, your mindset should automatically be in consultative selling. Let this be embedded in your mind intentionally. You need to be intentional. Whether you're on the phone with the clients or whether you're in person with the clients, just remember consultative sale. Consultative sale. Stay away from being a salesperson and be a consultant. You want to know about what they have going on. Okay? You want to know about the things that they care about. What's driving their thinking process? What kind of issues are their businesses facing? And you'll discover that in your discovery with asking the proper questions. So let that be embedded in your mind each time you pick up the phone, and you start drifting off and sounding like that salesperson. Think consultative selling. Think consultant. Will a consultant talk to me the way that I'm speaking to this client right now? Am I over speaking the client? Am I speaking too fast? Am I, not asking the right questions? You have to self-analyze. Okay? But one thing for sure, consultative selling is what's going to get you to the finish line. That consultative approach. You have to change your thought process. You have to change your approach. You have to be a consultant. Okay? So a couple of things that supports that theory is that, you have to become customer centered. You have to use a customer centered approach. So instead of pitching, the salesperson or the consultant in this equation ask open-ended questions. So you being GCAs, you being agencies, you being ambassadors, instead of pitching, the salesperson, instead of pitching, the salesperson asks open-ended questions. You would ask open-ended questions, okay? And then you would listen actively. Remember to write down. When you ask these open-ended questions, remember to write down what they stated, because you're going to use that information when you repeat everything that you've taken in from them. When you repeat that back to them in our spin process, you guys remember the spin process. So we'll talk about that in a second. All right. So we're going to listen actively, and then you're going to dig deep into the client's challenges. You want to bring that pain up. Okay. You want to bring that pain up. You want to dig deep into their challenges to uncover their need, both stated and the ones they have not stated. So that customer center approach, instead of pitching, when you guys are making your calls, or you're going to the BNI meetings, or you are, in any other type of environment, remember that you're always fishing for information. You should be asking open-ended questions. You should be learning more about them and them telling their story than you telling yours. You'll have time for that. And you want to be a professional listener. And you want to listen very carefully, because you're going to need the data. Listen, all clients 100% will tell you how to sell them if you listen. Everyone does that. The problem is this. The reason why we're not good at this process is because we're not listening. We're thinking about what we're going to say next, how we're going to respond, and we're conjuring up our thoughts instead of just releasing our mind and just taking in what they're saying, because the client is going to tell you what you should be thinking if you listen properly. But you have to listen properly, okay? So that's number one, customer-centered approach. You want to use that, and you want to create value versus transaction. This is what we started the conversation off with. You want to focus on value. You want to focus on being a consultant, talking about benefit, focus on the long-term relationship, building and solving problems. Okay, which leads to higher customer satisfaction and repeat business and referrals. You want to add value. You want to create a value type relationship with your clients versus it's just being a one transactional type deal. And lastly, you want to make sure, and this is the big thing, is that you're just building that trust and that credibility. See, buyers see that the salesperson sees the salesperson as being an expert. They see you as being an expert. But the problem is that when you become too pushy, you take away from your consultative power. And then you start falling into a category with other salespeople. If you're the expert, be the expert. Buyers want to see you as their resources or their partner. Okay? Once they can see you as being a partner or a strong resource, that's what's going to build longer, long-term relationships, that loyalty to you. instead of it just being transactional, they're going to feel, guilty if they ever go somewhere else because they need to come and talk to, Malik, or they need to come and talk to Zena because she made me feel, like she really understood exactly what our needs were. Okay, so you want to be customer centered. You want to create value. So when you're speaking to these clients, make sure that you're thinking about creating value in this conversation. And then you want to create that trust and credibility. Okay. So 3 things, how do you do that? You're going to do that by discovering and diagnosing their needs. Using things like using questions and active listening to fully understand the client's pain points, to fully understand the client's goals, and to fully understand what their desired outcomes is. Okay. So these are 3 key bullet points that I want to point out. You want to discover. Discover is important. Discover and diagnose, right? Discover and diagnose. That's asking open-ended questions, discovering and diagnosing. Here's what's wrong. And once you diagnose and what the issue is, then you're going to provide a tailored solution. You're going to provide a tailored solution that's directly aligned with their situation. I understand that you're having a retention issue and it's pretty bad around here. Listen, the program that we have with the wellness program actually increases your retention rate by 18 to 20%. So we can definitely help to slow down the the retention issue for you. Okay. So you provide a tailored solution to these companies' issues, right? We're having an overspending issue, or we're not being as profitable as we normally would be because of tariffs, or because of federal fundings, or whatever the issue may be. You can tailor a solution by saying things such as, I have a federal tax strategy that can actually put up to $1,000 back into your bank account, into your bottom line. Let me tell you more about this strategy. So you've heard their problems, you discovered and diagnosed their problems because you were asking open-ended questions in the beginning of the conversation, and you immediately start thinking about a tailored solution. Okay. So recommend solutions that directly aligns with the customer situation, emphasizing value and results rather than simple features. A lot of times what we do as salespeople, and a lot of times, especially in our amateur days, is that we focus in on features, things that look good, things that, that's not really beneficial, right? But once you change your mindset, see, I come from a sales environment where we sold high fees, things of that nature. So in order to do that, we had to sell benefit. We had to sell benefit. So I came from an environment where we sold benefit. We focused on nothing but benefit. Why? Because my fees are high. And we don't want customers worried about fees. We want to close this deal. Okay. So once you discover and diagnose their needs, and you ask the proper questioning, and you discover their pain points, you provide a tailored solutions to their situation, emphasizing their better results for them. You're positioning yourself as a trusted advisor, a trusted consultant, one who's creating a long-term relationship and an ongoing value, and a relationship that's going to lead to repeat business and referrals to you. Once you establish that type of relationship with your clients, remember this, this is for any type of product that you may be involved with. Some of you all are involved with our G2 Global products where you're selling, the global compliance, or which is our wellness program, and some of you all may be focusing in on some of the funding programs that we have, and some of the credit things that we do, things of that nature. You just you have to build yourself, no matter what it is, when you use the consultative approach and you discover what your clients' needs are. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for years. And you discover what the client's pain points are and their goals, and you tailor a solution. See, when you become the problem solver, everyone wants to talk to the problem solver, and you tailor solutions to their problem. Right then, you've earned their trust. You've earned their ear, and now you've positioned yourself as a trusted advisor. Okay, and you want to be able to do this on the phone. You want to be able to do this in person. So, these things that we're talking about that I'm showing you and teaching you guys, you got to apply this. Each time you pick up the phone, before you think consulting, and program your mind and put yourself into character, just like you're about to go on camera. Okay, go into character, and then become a trusted advisor. Ask your discovery questions. Know that before I do anything, I need to discover what their pain points are. Let me get some information from them. Let me just try this a couple of times and see how this approach works. Okay, and you want to do that in a very calm tone. So here's some powerful questions that you want to ask, and I want you guys to kind of remember some of these questions and put this in your mental database. Okay, what's keeping you awake at night about your business right now? Powerful. Very powerful. Let me ask you, Mr. Customer, what's keeping you awake at night about your business right now? So that's an open-ended question, okay? Deborah, let me ask you, if nothing changes in the next 12 months, what would that cost your organization? Zena, let me ask you, what does success look like for you beyond numbers and metrics for you?
An enormous bank account.
So what's the biggest obstacle slowing your team's progress today? Right? And so, these are all powerful questions, open-ended questions. If you can design the perfect solution, Larry, what would it look like? You see, these are all open-ended questions that gets the customers talking. This is what you have to master, this part. I think what happens is that so many times as salespeople, okay, consultants, whatever you want to call yourself, but you start pushing your product right out the gate. You start pushing your agenda right out the gate. Instead of calling to be a consultant to find out what's keeping you awake at night about your business, Mr. Customer. This is really what you want to find out.
It's a great point, because if you come forward with how can I help you and what do you need as opposed to what I can do for you, it's a big plus for you.
1000%. Coming and utilizing the what can what I can do for you, and approach as a consultant is huge. And once you master that, your calls are going to be more frequent. Your closing demos, things like that, are going to be lining up more frequent. These people are smelling salespeople calling them. Salespeople have a negative connotation. They're already programming. It's programmed in your mind. Think about it. It's already programmed in your mind when you don't want to talk to salespeople. When they call your phone right now, what do you say? Oh, darn salespeople. Stop calling my phone. Right? So they get the same reaction, and they get the same phone calls that you get and you're receiving. And so life is happening for people, or people are busy. There's all type of things that's going on that no one has time to talk to an unwanted sales solicitation. You guys are following me? They don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. So then the question is, how do I stand out to be different and not be in that number? And that's what I'm trying to teach you. How to stand out differently and not be in that number, in that category. And being a consultative or a consultant, and being consultative in your approach will get you across that finish line way more times than going in and sounding salesy. Okay? So once again, relax on your calls. You're in control. Learn the questions that you would like to ask, which is the questions that I'm giving you. Stop wondering what you're going to say and use the questions that I'm giving you. I'm giving them to you. Stop wondering what to say. I'm giving you the things to say. Mr. Customer, let me ask you a question. What is the biggest obstacle right now that your company is facing, or slowing down your team or your company's progress right now? What's one of those biggest obstacles? Remember what you're doing. You want to pull out the pain, and you want to show empathy as they're talking about, as they open up and you start listening for the pain. Well, one of the biggest obstacles right now is that we're really trying to put together an additional $2 million because we have to expand by next year, because we are growing, and there's a lot of growth and expansion happening right now. We don't really feel like we're going to be able to be able to make it with the space that we have. So we're looking for additional funds and a way to kind of trim the fat so we can expand, things like that. So these are conversations that with asking these open-ended questions that you would hear. And so your ears have to be very sensitive to the problem. And every time you hear pain, this is the only time, you all, when you're talking with someone and you hear pain, that you ought to be going, yes. Okay. So, because your yes right now is, okay, I'm discovering what's hurting them because I have a solution. I'm discovering what's stopping them because I have a solution. I'm discovering what's stopping us, causing the bleeding. and I have a solution, because you're tailoring a solution to the pain. So utilizing these questions to uncover is key. All right. So you want to shift from that selling mindset to, that consultative mindset. In this example, a guy selling a copy machine and copiers, and some of you all have sold copiers. They highlighted the speed, they highlighted the features, they highlighted the warranty. They focused on the product specs. Hey, this thing can print off, 1,000 pages in 2 seconds. It doesn't overheat. It's got an internal fan. These type of things. It's Bluetooth activated. You can control this printer from your phone. It focuses on the different specs, right? And then it focuses on, and so the outcome here is that the buyer now is comparing specs. They're comparing pricing, because that's what you sold. Opposed to you using the same scenario and being a consultant and asking consultative questions. What are your biggest frustrations with, the document workflows? All right. So always just understanding their pain and giving solutions to that pain by way of being a consultant. Once again, this works with any type of product. Here's a copier. This works with any product. Think about it. Any product that you can think of, this type of mindset and training works across the board. You have to shift from selling to consulting, from pitch to partner. You want them to feel as though they are your partners and you are a partner with them, opposed to you just wanting to close a deal with them. Does that make sense? And so we talk about this all the time with building that authentic rapport. You want to make sure that you are remembering memorable occasions and things that's important to the client. One of the things that I've always done, I've learned this years ago, I was taught to remember things like birthdays and occasions and things that would come up in the conversation with the client that you could use on your next call, right? Such as what? What do you mean? Well, I can't talk long because I've got to head to my daughter's baby shower. Or, we've got a big event on our campus this year. Okay? Or it's my wife's anniversary. Me and my wife's anniversary, we're going out to dinner tonight. This is in you guys' conversation. So things like that, good consultant salespeople remember, these type of things. Okay? You remember things like their daughter just started college. So you can ask questions like, hey, how's Sarah adjusting on campus life? You see? This is breaking the ice and talking to you. Now you're becoming family, because it shows that you care about, it shows care beyond just business. That's that rapport building. Hey, is Sarah getting used to that college? Like, are you missing her yet? Things like that, right? Okay. So, and during a meeting, the seller notices frustration in the client's tone and response sounds like that deadline is stressing the team. Tell me a little bit more about it. This is another example. Understanding and seeing the frustration on the individual's face, right? And just learning how to read the body language. So instead of diving into product talk, the seller shares a relevant story. I had another client in your industry facing the same staffing challenges. Here's what happened. So you're making the connection now, and you're making them feel as though they're not alone. Okay? They're not alone. Hey, I had another customer just like you that had the same similar issues in the same similar industry as yours. And here's the outcome. This is what happened for them. So you have to build rapport utilizing these type of techniques. Remember what has happened in their business life, their personal life, and capturing a snapshot of this in the conversation. Remember, your antennas should be up. Your ears, your spider senses should be up. You should be listening very carefully for these type of things. If you hear anything that you can write down, such as, my daughter's going to college, or, this is our anniversary, or we've been, we're having our 20th year company anniversary, things like that. These memorable occasions, you want to make sure that you use that and make sure that you write those type of things down. Okay, that's building authentic rapport. So the power of first impressions, guys. This is one of the things that we talk about even over the phone a lot. But a lot of you all are going out into meetings now. You're going out into your BNIs, things of that nature. You want to make sure that as a rep and as a consultant that you arrive at these appointments and these events early. Why? Because you want to start building up rapport with other people. You want to talk to the receptionist. You go to any meetings. You want to compliment their office. You want to make sure that you're building a positive image before even meeting other decision makers. So make sure that whatever event that you're at, whatever meeting that you're going to, you want to build that that relationship with that receptionist or whoever that gatekeeper may be or whoever that frontliner may be. You want to make sure that you build a warm rapport with them and a good relationship with them, and act as if they are the CEO or the decision maker themselves. Okay? Because why? The CEO or the decision makers, whoever may be behind the gatekeeper, will take the advice and the tone of that gatekeeper any day before you. Okay, so you don't want to make them mad. You want to make sure that you're sending off a good example and good vibes. Be there early, greet them, you be warm, make sure you compliment their office, and build a positive rapport. Okay. So you want to have things like, professional social media images. Use client testimonials. Okay. You want to make sure that people understand that other people had great experiences with you as well. You want to build that prospect's trust before the meeting. So before they even meet with you in person, people are going to go to your page. The first thing that people do is go in Google and go to your page and things of that nature. You want to make sure that your professional image is in place. We talk about this all the time. When people go to your social media page, what does it say about what it is that you do? I go to a lot of you all pages all the time just to see. I just want to see what you're promoting. I want to see what your business image is like. Okay? What your LinkedIn page is like. And then I understand why your numbers aren't where they need to be. It's simple. You have bad exposure. You don't have enough people to talk to. And the reason why you don't have enough people to talk to is because you're not applying yourself. You're using social media for other things. You're not using it for what it's worth. And that's to get exposure for your business and to get people to do business with you. So, having a LinkedIn page or social media, Facebook page and IG page, make sure you've got professional headshots, professional pictures, and make sure that when people go to your pages and, you got client testimonials and or whatever, you want to make sure that people know that you are in the business of solving their problems with either financial solutions or whether it's you got wellness, whatever your thing is, okay? Whatever your thing is. If you're going to promote this wellness program, you want to make sure that you look the part. You're a wellness provider. You're a tax strategist, federal tax strategist. You've got a tax strategy that will cause companies to get excited because of the savings, because of the additional supplemental coverages for their employees. Okay, so poor first impressions, seller interrupts, checks phones, doing introductions. Those are the poor. These are the things that these are indicators, as when you are speaking to new potential clients, that you can give off poor first impressions by interrupting, checking your phone, doing the introductions. Your credibility then just gets destroyed. You don't want to kill your credibility like that. You want to make sure that you're attentive, right? You want to make sure that you have a strong digital follow-up email system, utilizing, things like the CRMs that we have in place. With a personalized summary of the meeting, you want to reinforce the first impression that you have. Just want to be consistent with that type of stuff. First impressions are key. Okay. So, here's some powerful questions when you're in the meeting, when you want to ask additional open-ended questions. Walk me through your current onboarding process for your new employees. Kyer, where do you see breakdowns or frustrations, in that process? Okay. Remember, this is the spin cycle, guys. Remember, situation, point out the situation. Ask open-ended questions so we can get what the situation is, right? We're going to point out the problem, show implication, and then need. That's the spin process. Highlight the situation. Okay. Focus in on the problem. Showing what the implications are. Okay. If they don't do anything, and then show them need. That's called spin. S-P-I-N, right? So when you're using spin technique, that spin technique goes something like this. Mr. Customer, walk me through your current onboarding process for new employees. Okay, that's your open-ended question, right? Where do you see the breakdown or frustration in that process? You want to highlight the problem. See, these are your questions. If those breakdowns continue for a year, how would it impact the retention or revenue? If I can show you a way to reduce turnover by 20%, what would that mean for your bottom line? Spin. You ask an open-ended question. Walk me through your current onboarding situation or process for these new employees. All right. You want to know what the breakdown is, like what's the frustration part in that process? How has that been for them? So you want to highlight the problem. And then you want to highlight the implications if those problems are not dealt with. If those breakdowns continue for a year, how will that impact the retention or revenue? You want to bring out that pain. You're trying to make this thing hurt. And you want to bring out that frustration in them. This is that one time when you want to edge on that pain and you want to push it a little bit, right? You want to massage that pain. Why? Because you know in the back of your mind, and you know that you have a solution for them, whichever way that they decided they want to go, whichever direction, you have a solution for them. Okay? You have a solution for them. All right, so that's the spin. That's the spin. Walk me through your current situation. Highlight the problem. Show them what the implications is. It will imply what would this do to you if you don't do anything. And then come with the solution. That technique works with any product. This is called the spin. This is called spin selling. I think some of you all were on our spin selling training. I don't know. Let me see. Spin selling training. Who was on spin selling training?
I was.
You was there? Okay. Spin selling, yeah. That was a while back. Okay. So positioning yourself as a trusted advisor, sharing things, sharing the benchmark. Companies in your, industry typically spend about 12% more on logistics. Here's how to cut that down. Then you introduce your product. All right. Based on new regulations next year, your compliance costs may rise. Here's how we can get ahead of that. You're providing foresight. Okay? This is you positioning yourself as a trusted advisor. You want to provide education. Maybe hosting a workshop for the client's team on a best practice in digital transformation may be a great idea. All right? You want to be proactive. You want to offer proactive insight. Sending a market trend report quarterly without being asked. Well, we do that through our system. So they would get things like that through us on your behalf.
Hey, Mo, can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely.
All this stuff is really great. How much of this do you feel like, in your experience, should we be going into when we're setting up the initial call to get on the call with you and G and Eric, as opposed to handling all this stuff on that particular call?
So this is this is what should be happening before you get to us. This is you building that rapport with your client initially. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah, this should be happening. This is me. See, what I'm trying to show you is to get how to increase your numbers before you getting those calls to us and we're getting demo calls. This is what you should be doing. You should be building up that rapport so you can introduce the product to them and move that over to our demos, right? So the problem is what I'm saying is that people aren't getting past, they're not getting past the gatekeepers. They're not getting past the first appointments, or some people are not even showing up on the appointments, and that's because we're not building the rapport properly. We're not making the connection properly. So when we use the consultative approach and we're more we're more in tune with what this company has going on because of our open-ended questions and our inquiries and our discovery. Now when we're telling them about this program and we want to move them over to getting a full presentation done, that's where we come in at. All you have to do is use this, and once again, this technique I'm showing you is just a technique, not necessarily just for wellness. This is a technique that you should be using as a consultant or salesperson, period. All right. You should be a consultant and be consultative in your approach. This is why you're having a hard time, and those that's having a hard time with dialing on the phone and not getting through, and people not wanting to speak with you, or even speaking with people in person. You're not building a rapport properly. This is where this comes in to help you. Okay? Does that make sense, Larry?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. So, overcoming objections, we talk about those type of things: price objections, timing objections, competitive objections, trust objections. You have to be prepared for objections and being able to overcome whatever objections. And so practice your overcoming objections. We giving you answers to different and various questions that would come up, or objections that would come up in this process. Things such as "I don't have time," or "I'm not interested," or "we already have that program," or "what if it's it's too expensive," right? Or "we're using another vendor right now. We're talking to other people about this program." Okay? So you have to be able to overcome these objections. Hey, that's great. Actually, that's great news. I'm glad to hear that you're thinking in that direction. How are you evaluating who you're going to be doing business with you? I'll be glad to help you compare numbers and get you the best program that fits you best. Things like that, right? Trust objections. Okay? We've tried solutions like this before and they failed. I get it. I 100% get it. That's why I like to show you actually a case study where we turned around a similar situation, similar to yours, that had a fantastic outcome. Do you mind me sharing that with you? So you have to be prepared for these type of things. So I'm listening to calls where they're throwing out these objections to you guys and saying things like, "No, I'm not interested. I'm fine. We don't need you right now." Well, it's because they don't need you to do what? They don't know what you're here to offer. All they heard is that you just did a whole sales pitch and rambled a bunch of things to them that they have no idea of what you're speaking of. And so, Larry, this is why I try to give these type of trainings so we can slow it down, be more consultative in our approach. So we're not rambling and we're not just trying to hurry to get them off the phone or hurry to get to the finish line. We ought to be prepared for objections. We should be prepared to consult and to discover and uncover exactly what's wrong and what these companies are dealing with. And we do that by asking the open-ended questions and having an attentive ear. Okay. And then lastly, we want to make sure that we have an action plan in place. You want to make sure that you have an action plan in place. What's next? All right. What's next? Okay. So trust is earned in drops. But guess what? It's lost in buckets. It's earned in drops and it's lost in buckets. Okay? So you have to have an action plan in place. Once you uncover these needs, and once you tailor a solution, you want to have you overcome the objections. You want to have the what's next mindset. What's the action plan next? Okay? You want to be clear with that. What's next? What should they be expecting next? I'm going to put you on a calendar for a demonstration call with our implementation team, and we can get all of your questions answered that you may have. Okay. So to summarize everything that we just discussed, this training on the trust factor, mastering consultative sales, simply emphasizes that sales is no longer transactional, but it's relational. This is what we've always talked about and discussed, that sales is no longer transactional. Stop thinking transactional and make it relational. Okay? Make it relational. You're concerned about the relation. So trust is the currency that influences these long-term client type partnerships. People are only interested in being in bed with people that they trust. Okay? So you do that by building authentic rapport, asking the powerful questions that we discovered, right? So you can uncover their challenges, their goals, and their motivations. You do that by positioning yourself as a trusted advisor, by giving them insight, foresight, and proactive values. And you do that by overcoming their objections and creating an action plan. Okay? You want to be able to be practical in your overcoming objections. Okay? By reframing concerns into these different opportunities. And then you want to have a clear 3-step plan, action plan to put consultative sales into practice immediately. Okay, so by applying these principles, sales professionals move from being just another vendor to becoming indispensable partners. Who does what? Influence strategy and drive results. Okay, so the trust factor is key. In order for you to move to the next level and the next place in the call, within that first, if you're on a call with them, within that first minute or so, you want to make sure that you're building up a trust factor with them. You want to build up that rapport with your clients. If you're in face-to-face with these clients and you're in the room with them, you're in an event with them, spend time building up the trust factor with them before you go into your pitch or your program that you have. Okay? So master the trust factor, guys. Master consultative selling. Okay, master consultative selling, That's what's going to get you from the no's to yes, let's sit down and let's discuss this further. Because you were consultative in your approach. Okay. All right, y'all. It's 8 o'clock, 8:02. I'm over 2 minutes over time. I hope you guys got something from this training today. Remember that information is good, but information without application is just information on ice. Okay?
Thank you, Mo.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. Wings up, wings up, wings up. Guys,
Wings up.
keep up the good
Thank
work.
you. Wings up.
Good work, you all.
Wings up.
Wings up. I'll see
Thank
you all
you.
at the top.
Wings
All
up.
right.
Thank you.
Wings up.
Good
Wings up.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.